Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Uh, my name is JC, and I'll be your speaker for today. Welcome to the second episode of our Tech Talk series here at SageSoft Solutions, where inspiration meets innovation. Okay, so what are we going to talk about today? So, I'm here today to shed a light on a type of cyber attack that has been affecting not only large scale corporations, but also the average person like you and me. Okay, so this is our second episode, and for our second episode, we are focusing on how you can achieve fortification against informational exploits. As you all know, or if you may not know, I am a solutions engineer. And as a solutions engineer, my area of expertise is mostly on explaining the ins and outs of technology and also to achieve business resiliency. So, for today, we all know, or everyone must know, that today the threat landscape of informational exploits has seen a quite surge due to online wallets, online banks, and other applications or websites that we use for our everyday lives. So these things are what hackers always try to infiltrate, and these hackers use a plethora of ways to get our personal information. They use this information for activities such as data mining or getting access to your online banking details. And this may even go so far as to impersonating someone and using that stolen identity to scam others. Now, this era, in our digital era, our lives are intertwined with our devices and online accounts. So join me and let's dive into what are the different types of informational exploits and how we can avoid them. But first, I just want to ask everyone here, okay? Has this ever happened to you? Okay, I'm gonna give you a few moments to check that out, and if you can relate, do you get it? Okay, because what happened to that meme happened actually to my mom a few weeks back. So she got her social media account hacked. And when we saw that someone was trying to ask others, other friends, other relatives for money through her account. But fortunately, she had a friend which was really concerned and they reached out to her. So our party with my mom and my family was alerted. So then we changed her password on her account. So when we did that, we thought it was all good. Everything's good. Everything's great. The hackers don't have any access anymore. But that was the case up until we saw that the current primary email address looked exactly like hers. But there was a twist. It had a different domain. So what does that mean? It means that the hacker had set up a gateway or a backdoor into her account so that if ever we did change her password, once we were feeling safe, we felt that nothing was going to happen anymore, they could have the access back and lock her out definitely. So, what's the lesson there? The lesson here is that we should always be thorough and meticulous when we have a suspected account breach because hackers will often leave that back door for them to always have access to your account right from under your nose. So, why did I mention that story? It's because here, if you could see, according to a global cybersecurity firm, that among Southeast Asian countries, Philippines ranked first in terms of the number of financial-related phishing attempts on businesses' devices in 2023. The Philippines recorded 163,279 detected and blocked attempts of phishing in their businesses. But I think the number may even be larger if we take into account all the regular phishing attempts that happen to Filipinos daily on the small scale. Okay, so why is that so? Because it's a given that us Filipinos are almost always on our screens and on our devices and social media platforms. So the hackers have a larger avenue to access us, and we are more prone to be targeted by different informational exploits by bad actors. So, according to that previous article, we Filipinos are very exposed to different types of informational exploits. But what if I were to tell you that sometimes a hacker doesn't even need to necessarily hack your accounts? You see, nowadays, social engineering is the way. Social engineering has been a driving force in getting your personal information, but at your expense. You see, through these types of methods, hackers can see that we are very gullible and we are that afraid of those types of attacks. If you can see on your screen right now, these are the types of attacks that hackers can use for social engineering to get you to divulge your personal information yourself. Okay, so now we're going to talk about some of these attacks. First off, we have the FOMO, or the fear of missing out. So attackers might sometimes set up a fake web page or a fake sale of an item that's very in and popular, but ultimately that website and that sale is just a way for them to just get your credit card or bank information. Another type of attack is if they can remotely or physically hijack your usage on a machine, thus giving them access onto your device, bypassing all those means of security that you set up, your firewall, your passwords, your 2FAs, because they once they hijack your session, they initially become you using your machine, and your computer or your device is not the wiser. Next, they can also pose as someone of importance, like the official support of your social media account, or people from your bank saying that your account has been compromised. With that type of attack, people typically are afraid and think that they should act accordingly. But sometimes those attacks are not really the case, and we just end up clicking a suspicious link that will get our information and that will compromise our accounts. So, with all these methods, are the go-to weapons of hackers when going to war with your security measures and firewalls. All for the holy grail, the most important thing, the prize at the end of the rainbow, your data. Uh, Next is we can see here there are two links on the page. One is real and one is fake. So these are two links for a famous streaming platform. You might be wondering, one's real and one's fake. But JC, they're the same link. How could one be real and the other be fake? Okay, so this is another type of attack I want you guys to be aware of. It is called a homoglyph attack. Because at a quick glance, or even just looking at the link, you would think that there isn't any difference between them. But the culprit here is just a single letter, and that is the letter L, if you can look closely. Because in the original, it's a lowercase l, and on the fake one, it's an uppercase I. So this is very an easy attack to do to someone, but a rather very effective one if someone was just normally looking at it or was not aware of these types of attacks. Hackers use this to spoof and copy the look and feel of a legitimate website in order for you, the user, to feel safe in entering your personal information, which will ultimately end in a phishing attack once you click that send on the fake website. That is why when we see something suspicious that says our data has been stolen, our account has been breached, we should change our password immediately, we must always stay calm. We must always stay calm and check if that attack really did happen. Because if we let our fear, our panic take over our decisions, we can risk potentially signing off on being scammed when we could have just ignored those suspicious emails or messages altogether. So, last and most definitely not the least, how can we be fortified against informational exploits? Let's take a look, shall we? So, in order for us to be fortified against informational exploits, one must not just brush off any potential attacks or feel that their accounts are not that big enough or not that important enough to be targeted by an informational exploit. But you see, guys, that's just the problem. Everyone is a target. Nobody is truly safe from an informational exploit attack. But there's a good side, there's a good thing. You can take steps in order for you to be ready, to be fortified as best as you can for these attacks. If I were actually to list all of them, it would surely not fit our time slot for today and for my talk. But I'm going to be highlighting some methods that you should definitely take action upon, especially in a business setting. Okay, if we can see here on your screen, first off, we have the good old MFA or multi-factor authentication. So this enables us to have an added layer of protection of verification other than our account credentials. This is very much recommended to be set up for any and all accounts that you create or currently have. The option is available because the typical credentials that we have are the usual username and password. So next up is rather in line with the previous method, which is having a strong password. So this doesn't mean that you always just use the generated password when you create a new account or the typical password of your name plus your birthday. A strong password are not the ones that are easily guessed by using those information you have just by looking at your name, your birthday, or even a wedding anniversary. Strong passwords prevent us from always having to rely on MFA. But as I told you earlier, it's always a recommendation, even from us here at Sage of Solutions, to always enable multi-factor authentication when you have the option to. But to touch upon the strong password, an ideal strong password has at least one upper and lowercase letters, numbers, and even a special character to add to the complexity of the password for it not to be easily guessed by hackers. Next is very much needed in today's corporate world. Awareness. Awareness and education is a must. If we are to be able to identify and not give power to any informational exploits. This can be done in many ways. It can be done in a knowledge transfer or a conference type of scenario. But here at SageSoft, we also carry a solution from one of our partners, WebRoot, a cloud-based security awareness training program, which aims to simulate the attacks and send them anonymously to all the employees in the work email that is accessible. So that will initiate a fake email that has a fake phishing link, and the admins, you, the security personnel, will be informed if one of your employees click that suspicious link so that you can educate them more and for them to be more aware. And finally, we have the third-party security measures. This can be either a local hardware, like a physical firewall, or a software-based one, like Amazon Web Services Wireless Application Firewall, or the WAF for short, which is also what we currently set up for SageSoft's AWS client infrastructure clients. So, but the solutions and measures to be taken when fortifying your systems and infrastructure from informational exploits are not just from deployed applications and solutions. But as I told you earlier, the most important one is to always be educated and aware of what those informational exploits look like, what they usually contain, and what do we do when receive one. Because we always have to be prepared and be calm and not panic as always when we receive these attacks. So today I end my talk and leave you with a quote from Kevin Mitnick, a convicted hacker turned computer security consultant. And also I'm gonna leave a message for everyone. Okay, so if we look here at the slide, it's going to show the quote, social engineers veil themselves in a cloak of believability. So what does that mean? That's not the cloak that Harry Potter used. So always remember that this is because attackers will always pull at your heartstrings, guys. They will have the most relatable story prepared that will get you to jump the gun and enter that password or divulge your personal info or send that OTP that they're trying to get from you. And you will never be the wiser because of the legitimacy and believability of their story. So, lastly, is my message to everyone. So, guys, I know that what we talked about is kind of scary and it's kind of alarming that these attacks happen on a daily basis. It can happen to anyone, not just me, but to you and your bosses and everyone else. It may be scary, but we should not be scared to use our devices and connect to the internet. We should not be prisoners to these types of attacks. We just need to always keep calm, be educated, and analyze everything at all times to avoid those various attacks hackers use. You don't need to be scared, you just have to be prepared. So if you want a partner to help you in your cybersecurity journey, talk to us here at SageSoft Solutions Incorporated. So now we just have a special thanks to our partners, Amazon Web Services and WebRoot Business Endpoint Solution. So thank you all for coming, and I also would like to invite you once again to join us on September 4. Our network specialist will be discussing about challenging businesses by increasing tech efficiency. So once again, thank you and see you on our next Tech Talk here at SageSoft Solutions, where inspiration meets innovation.
Good afternoon, everyone. So, thank you so much for joining us today. This is the end of our talk for today. Hope we can join and see you on our next talk. As mentioned by Sir JC, our speaker for today, our network engineer will be discussing about business challenge increasing tech efficiency. Good day and take care, guys.